everybody, it's me again, Stewart and Janet Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansion's news podcast for the end of January 2014.
And the day after my birthday.
Happy birthday to Janet. You know, she's over 117 years old. And she doesn't look it, I don't think. Well, maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit.
I just get better every year. What can I say?
Yeah, like wine, which I like to drink. Anyway, a lot of news stories have arisen this week. Some are, I think, well, we'll talk about it. First thing, very serious, and I've warned you about it for a couple of years now. I told you that when you go into public places, it's going to be very dangerous in the United States, and yes, and here this week we had shootings at the mall outside of Baltimore, Maryland. A man, 19 years old, came in with a gun and killed two people at a skate shop. 21-year-old woman, a 25-year-old man. The police say they don't know why he did it or what the reason was or if they knew each other, but I found out from a UK site, and I don't know if it's accurate or not, but apparently there may have been some love triangle going on between those three of them. I can't verify it, but that's what they said in the UK. The girl, who's 21 years old, had a 2-year-old child already that she's left, unfortunately. And we had also this week shootings in several universities in the United States, in South Carolina, Indiana. There was an incident in Tennessee. There were several things that happened. This is activation of vigilante programming, assassin, suicide, because some of the shooters killed themselves, stalker programming, and of course it's designed to want people to have guns taken away from the public. And we're going to see, unfortunately, more of this, and my opinion is, whatever it's worth to you, I would not go to places like the mall, movie theaters, places where there's a heavy population congregating in one spot. It's just looking for trouble these days. Now, it's a little bit more kind of humorous news. Justin Bieber. What is up with that little boy?
Now, that's one of my stories.
That's one of your stories.
Well, go ahead, and I'll have to add to it if you don't tell all the news.
I won't tell all of it, but as you know, he was arrested in Miami for drag racing, drugs, alcohol, and he was recently looked into for egg throwing at his neighbor's house. He's just a trouble. I'm going to make a little prediction here. My prediction is that Mr. Bieber, if he doesn't straighten his life out, is going to wind up like some of the people who are in the ground now. And of course his father, who had him I think when he was 17 or 18 years old and abandoned him, is now his best friend and who actually encourages him to drag race, take drugs and drink. So what did Mr. Bieber do when he left Miami? He went to Panama where the drinking age is 18. Brilliant.
How old is he?
19.
19?
Yeah, he's brilliant.
Okay, so when you're done with that,
I'm done with that.
Okay, I want to add to that now rather than wait, because a couple of interesting things about this that have been going around the internet. One is a picture of Justin Bieber and Miley Cyrus. Now, of course, at one time we know they were an item, which means in Hollywood, of course, they've been put together for a reason. So they have on the internet a slice of each of their faces like this. They have this part of Miley Cyrus's face on Justin Bieber's and vice versa. And it's true, you cannot tell them apart. So I'm wondering if by chance they may be related. Because there was another story that was out there not too long ago about two girls who were best friends. And they were so thrilled with each other. Turns out when this one girl was like 18 years old, was conceived by an anonymous sperm donor. So she went and told her mom. Her mom looked up the sperm donor, and it happened to be the same sperm donor as this other girl's father. So, because we know that Hollywood's, quote-unquote stars or icons are cultivated for a reason, it is perhaps possible that they have same parentage somewhere along the way. Maybe they're both alien implant clones.
I don't know, because he's from Canada, she's from the U.S.
Oh my goodness, they do it all over the world.
I know, but the thing is...
aliens take people from all over the place.
Well, I mean, if it turns out, that'd be...
Well, I mean, they're not going to tell us, but I'm just saying that that's a possibility. Then the second thing that's of interest to me is, they talk about the Beeb, right? They call him the Beeb. Well, can you remember who else Back in the 50s, there was a television show similar to that.
The Beaver.
That's right. Where's the beef? That's what they used to say to each other. Where's
He
the
became a
beep?
porn star, didn't he?
Yes, as did Miley Cyrus.
Well,
Anyway, my point being is, I'm wondering if there's some kind of programming that's being activated or reactivated, and if there's a tie between the Leave It to Beaver program and Justin Bieber. So we've got the Bieber and now we have
that's
Bieber.
very interesting.
Yes.
Hmm.
So that was my very own.
You know, for a woman your age to come up with that kind of thing,
117 is amazing.
that's really remarkable.
Yeah.
You have a good mind.
Yeah. So I'm doing my best to keep
I'm
it.
very proud of you. I'm going to tell your attendant to give you a snack tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Leave It to Beaver, Where's the Beep, and now we're talking about Where's the Beep. So to me, there's got to be some kind of parallel in there, so it'll be very interesting to watch that play itself out. Besides the fact I think he's a clone somehow or another, or an alien implant along with Miley Cyrus, and they're really like brother and sister or something.
Well,
Something weird like that.
something not right with that boy.
Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
Maybe he's a girl. I don't know.
No,
He looks like a girl
It
to
could
me.
be either way, because she could be a guy.
Doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, another story. Well, it's a lot of stories actually rolled
I
into
hope there aren't
one.
any more of mine.
Well, I hope not. I mean, stop looking at my notes all the
No,
time.
that's why I'm holding my paper like this so you can't even see.
You know, there's something going on in Ukraine, and there's protests against the government. They actually had the Orthodox priests stand between the protesters and the riot police to block the clashes.
Well, I want to add. Have you seen the pictures where they're actually holding up the mirrors to the riot police?
No, I didn't see that.
Yes, that is a new thing. They want these riot police, and to me, that again goes back to mirror programming. Maybe they're trying to activate something in the riot police that's not so pretty.
And what's behind the mirror in
Well,
programming? Demonic entities.
That's right. And so now this is also all over the news with this Ukrainian
Yes,
stuff.
yes, and Ukraine, you know, has always been a source of irritation between Russia and the EU since the fall of the Soviet Union, of which Ukraine was a satellite state of the Soviet Union.
And let's not forget the Filatov Institute, where
Yes, in
mind control
Odessa,
and programming.
and you know, the Russians consider Ukraine part of their territory, because of what the Russians really don't like people to know is in an ancient history. First of all, the Vikings were the ones who helped settle Kiev and develop that country, which became the Rus, from the Viking tribe of the Rus, which became Russia, or Russia.
The Rose.
And so the Russians really do consider it part of their territory. Of course, Ukrainians don't consider it. But interesting, the Ukrainians a few years ago renamed a city in Ukraine Sverdlovsk.
So now there's two Sverdlovs?
Now, well, the one in Russia is now Yekaterinburg again, but the province is Sverdlovsk. But there's a city now at Sverdlovsk in eastern Ukraine. The eastern Ukrainians lean more towards Russia, the western more to EU. Of course, the EU would love to pull, you know, a gigantic country like Ukraine into their sphere. And the Russians, of course, want it back. So we're going to see a lot of battles now in Ukraine. Keep your eyes on that. This goes along with what's happening in Thailand now, where they just killed the anti-government leader who was leading a protest against the government. They shot and killed him. Thailand is being seen of being torn between different factions in Southeast Asia, and we know, if you look at the map, you'll see it's kind of between Southeast Asia and Central Asia, and there's a lot of Islamic things going on in the southern part of Thailand. The U.S. government, I think, is behind it. They want to take the government, change the government of Thailand. We will see the same things happening very shortly, I think, in Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. So keep your eyes on those areas as well. We're seeing it happening in Egypt, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, even Pakistan. They're fomenting a lot of civil disorder so that the governments can be changed to accommodate the New World Order, Western civilization, and have them become satellite states of this global empire.
And of course, now we're seeing all this weather, inclement weather.
That's
Oh, is
my
that your
story.
Well, I'm just adding to your story. It's not my story.
Oh, actually, I know what you're talking about, so you can talk about
No, it's
that.
not my story.
Well,
I'm just adding to what your story
yes,
is right now.
because we're going to get to that in a second,
Okay.
but I want to say, what did I think it's in my Blue Blood book, and it might be in my new book, but I talk about the New Madrid Fault Line, which historically was famous for the 3 gigantic earthquakes in 1811 and 1812 here in North America, and in fact produced the largest earthquakes in North America, more than even in California. In the last one that happened in February of 1812, it was approximately 8.8 on the Richter scale back then. And the earth shook from the Canadian border to the Gulf of Mexico. Church bells rang in Boston and as far west as Denver, and yet it was in southeastern Missouri. And the Mississippi River ran backwards. And then over the years, you heard people say, "Well, it was a fluke. It's a dead fault line." Well, just this week, the USGS says, "You know what?" They said, "New Madrid fault line is alive and dangerous, and can produce a major earthquake in the middle of the United States at any time." So, have to keep our eyes on that one, people. It is active and it is moving. That's not too good for us here, you know.
I will feel it.
Yeah, well, we did that last time, remember?
But we do have earthquake insurance.
Yep.
Although they laughed at me when I asked to put on
Yeah,
my
well,
policy.
who'll be laughing now, huh? And then, okay, so now for the weather story. And there is record snow here in the Midwest and even in parts of the eastern part of the United States. Record cold, and in fact, this week, they said, will be the worst cold ever. Even worse than we had earlier this month, which is hard to believe.
Minus 35 wind chill.
45, and they said it could go to minus 50. And my fingers are still numb from the other day when I tried to shovel and I got frostbite, so that wasn't good. And guess what? They are admitting now that the ice age really, they're calling it a mini ice age.
I said that last time.
Yes, and they said because the solar maximum of the sun is actually more like a minimum. And every time that happens, there's an ice age. But you know what I saw on one of the weather sites today, major weather site? They said, all this cold is the result of global warming. So all you people who believe it doesn't exist, you're very stupid kind of thing. It's like, really? So the earth is heating up and ice is forming. That's brilliant, people. And you know what else happened? It's not even on my list, but you know what happened?
There was snow in Indonesia.
Snow in Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam. This never happened in recorded history.
Well, now they're saying it hasn't happened for 30 years.
Well, the people in Indonesia who are over 30 years old never saw it before.
Right, but they're trying to slip this in and make it be normal versus saying it's abnormal.
Let me tell you, I've been to Indonesia. It is hot, 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 humid, humid. There is no even thought of, I don't think they have a word for snow. It's very, very hot there, so this is quite amazing. And just as another side note, Stephen Hawking's, stated this week also, he's the one that created the black hole theory, how it sucks it. Now he says black holes don't exist.
Really?
Yeah.
But
they don't exist. They just convert light they convert matter to energy, but they're not black holes.
So where do you see that one going?
Well, I think it's going to lead up to what I've been saying, that a black hole is a portal into another universe. It's an interdimensional travel portal.
All right, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because they keep changing everything.
I would talk more, but my lips are getting numb from the cold.
Here, I don't think so. Okay, I found a story. I don't know if you've heard of this one before, but this, of course, my stories are always fascinating. Did you know that there is a bunny hidden in Mandela statue's ear?
Like an Easter bunny?
No, so you didn't know this story. That's what I want to know. There is a new 9-meter or 29.5 foot tall sculpture of Nelson Mandela in South Africa, erected shortly after his death.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is what it has: a tiny, barely visible quirk, a sculpted rabbit tucked inside one of the bronze ears. Now, how big is a bronze ear that on a statue that's 9 meters tall? The ear's got to be this big, which means the rabbit has got to be, good size. But they're calling it tiny.
Are they doing that on purpose, or they think something
Well,
looks like a rabbit?
No, it is a rabbit. I saw the picture. The South African officials are actually very upset about this, and they want it removed. The statue is actually in Pretoria and was unveiled on December 16th, that day after his funeral. Now, they say the two sculptures, Andre Prinsloo and Ruhan Jans van Vuren, had added a rabbit, which is said to be a discreet signature on their work.
What is it?
Now, when you hire somebody to do a 9-meter tall statue and you put that kind of money in, I would think you would know your sculptures. and if they have any discrete signatures. It's not something that was done, you know, oh yeah, let's go build a 9-meter bronze. This is bronze, which we know is very expensive. So how did that rabbit get there, and why didn't the South African officials know that in advance?
That's White Rabbit programming.
That's right. So I thought that was
Alice in Wonderland.
And it also, to me, remember how Mandela has changed through the years? Okay, my belief is it was a message saying that he was listening to his White Rabbit programming.
You know, you're absolutely brilliant.
I know.
I'm going to have to watch when you do these reports.
Anyway, I thought that was fascinating when I saw that happen. And it'll be interesting. I bet you we never hear another word, and I bet you that rabbit never gets removed. And it's 9 meters tall. Who's going to see it? We wouldn't even know if they didn't report this on the news. Because they always tell you what's happening.
I'm surprised they did report it.
Well, they have to tell you what's happening because that's universal law.
So now you look at the rabbit and get triggered.
And remember I tell you that Illuminati, global handlers know universal law. They do it to entrap you for the negative. We teach you universal law to free yourself and for empowerment and positive results. Okay, moving along.
Yes, let's move
A
on.
robot accidentally discovered an amazing upside down world in Antarctica.
That's because it's at the bottom of the Earth, so
Yes,
it's upside down.
a robot was being used to study ocean currents. This was done by the US-based National Science Foundation in a mission supported by the New Zealand Foundation for Research. They said this is a reverse world, which again, mirror programming, opposites. I thought that was interesting. They said in this world, fish swim upside down, sea anemones hang down instead of grow up, and strange turtle-like creatures float just under the ice.
Wow.
So again, you know, and also if we think of inner Earth, if they're going to be revealing that, we also have to take a look at reverse world and things that do things backwards.
Well,
and so
isn't it
forth.
interesting that the New Zealand Foundation figured that out, and they were the ones involved with The Hobbit?
Yes. Okay, moving along. Now the next thing, this is according to what I'm reading, Scientology is out, and we have something new coming in to replace it. It is an even more sinister religion, which is a satanic sex cult that's, quote, snaring stars such as Peaches Geldof.
There's a star called Peaches Geldof.
Apparently, I don't know her, but apparently it's out.
Why don't you
She's out
change your
there.
name to a fruit?
To a fruit?
Yeah.
So-
Kiwi Swerdlow. How about that?
I might make our Kiwi people jealous. Okay, Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page is a member, and so it says, however, that the
Maybe I
membership
could be Apple Swerdlow.
the membership is secret, so we don't exactly know. But now this is the interesting thing about this. This founder of this religion is not exactly naming it either, is Aleister Crowley. And we have not heard that name publicly in conventional media.
Many years.
He was actually dubbed the wickedest man in the world, and he
I
reveled.
thought that was me.
Well, no, that's only what they say on the sites.
That's true.
He would actually, it says he reveled in his infamy. He was born in 1875. He styled himself after the Great Beast and 666.
It's born in the same year as you.
Yes. And it was an upper-class British family. Now, he said he was an occultist. People who know that name know that, but prior to his, and he died in 1947. Now, the interesting thing is he established the OTO, and do you know what that stands for?
Yes.
The Order
Of.
Templars.
It's in Latin.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I forgot to write that part down. But anyway, I've heard that many times all over the internet. Anyway, it says that they routinely took part in occult magical rituals. This was Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page, and was so intrigued by Crowley, he bought his former home called Boleskine House on the shores of Loch Ness in Scotland. So Scotland connection again. And it said that now that there are OT lodges scattered all around the country, practicing the same ceremonial rituals and spreading the word of Crowley. His form of worship involves sadomasochistic sexual rituals with men and women, spells which he claimed could raise malevolent gods, and the use of hard drugs including opium, cocaine, heroin, and mescaline. So this, they're saying now, is what's on the rise.
Bieber.
It does. Maybe he's part of this.
Probably.
But what's interesting is Aleister Crowley, you know, is like, you never hear that word, that name in
Not on a conventional. News.
not in conventional news, and now they're saying this is going to replace Scientology. So let's watch this trend. Speaking of boys and girls, as of January 1st, students in California public schools now have the option whether to choose whether to use the boys' restroom or the girls' restroom.
Gee, I wonder what the boys are going to choose.
And the girls they can also choose whether to use the girls' locker rooms or the boys' locker rooms.
Gee, I wonder what the boys are going to choose for locker room.
And this is supposed to be based on whether they feel female or male, not whether they are anatomically female or male. And this begins in kindergarten.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. So anyway, let's see. And this bill was signed by Governor Jerry Brown of California, January 1st, beginning in kindergarten. They have to decide what they believe their gender is and act accordingly.
You know, Jerry Brown isn't very grounded for someone named Brown.
Well, because he's bringing things into the present. I have to tell you all the programming stuff. You're supposed to be the expert here.
Well, you find all the bathroom material.
Well, I find Brown is bathroom material too. Anyway, Brown is about grounding and bringing things into the present. So obviously he's triggering these people to bring what he's telling them into the present. Okay, I've already talked about Justin Bieber, so that story's done.
Good.
My last story is
good.
kind of based on what we watched last night. It was so funny. We watched Idiots Abroad, and Idiot Abroad, I guess. It's a funny show. But anyway, a couple of things that he talked about or showed, which I thought was interesting. You can watch this on your demand thing. What do they call it? Pay on demand or something?
Pay-per-view.
No, we don't have to pay for that one. It's just like demand something. Anyway, he took people to a pain party. Now, the pain...
Oh, it was my family reunion.
Yeah. The pain party had to do, and it was actually, it was an attorney who was in charge of the pain party. So the point is these are not stupid people. But we won't want to talk about their emotional versus the intellect, which of course,
it was
again,
in Mexico.
We do teach you to balance the brain. So you can balance your intellectual side or your logical side with your emotions. Anyway, they were hanging people with hooks from their backs, their legs.
You know, your people used to do things like that.
You know, I was going to bring that up because the reason that indigenous people did that was actually for a different reason. You know, it's like people now going and taking ayahuasca because they think it's cool. The reason they did that at that time was actually for spiritual advancement, because it was about taking the mind and having dominion over the animal body. So there was a point and a purpose. And in doing so, when the pain became extreme enough and you had enough dominion to master that, it put you into different heights. It's like having an out-of-body experience while you're conscious. But these were done, again, people were built up to it. They didn't just go stick meat hooks in them and then hang them up. So anyway, I'm curious now that this is starting down there, if this will spread.
But I'm sure that's done at a lot of places, but I still think it's part of programming because the pain dissociates you from the body and then you go into your fracture.
Well, of course. But you have to remember, again, that I don't have to tell you this, but programming is built on what already exists within you. So, you know, these people in other lifelines may have this within them anyway. But at this point, it's just, you know, like a cool thing to do, like going out and taking a drug or something.
So, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Why have you hung hooks then in our bedroom?
Well, I'll tell you in April when we have our seminar.
Oh.
Okay, and the next thing I want to tell you about, and then my last story, is about plastic surgery. Now,
I never needed it.
No, of course not. And on Idiots Abroad, they showed him talking to this life-size Ken doll.
Ooh, he was freaky.
This was a guy who, you've seen him probably on the news, and I don't know if this is that particular one, if it's somebody similar, but he had how many plastic surgeries? 122 or 133?
Like almost 200.
Yeah, but he looks, you know, you can't really tell like if he's real or not.
He looks like he can't move his face or anything.
Yeah, and he had his eyebrows done and his hair done.
Are you going to tell them the other thing that I think you're going to tell them?
No, I wasn't going to tell them that actually.
No?
No. But what I was going to tell them was something different. Anyway, the point being is when I was looking at this guy and his movements, I was thinking about the story I talked about last week when the men now are wearing the plastic doll suits.
Freaky.
It's freaky. And this is new, the plastic doll suits within the last couple of years according to my research. Okay, so we start tying this all together. What are they trying to animate? This is a trick question.
With the...
In general, what are they trying to animate?
With the plastic doll suit?
No. Robots.
Oh,
They're trying to put consciousness into a robot. And they're trying to make robots take the place of things, whether it's the soldiers, whether it's, you know, like your love interest, you know, you can buy one for like $6,000 or $8,000 or something. So if you can't tell the difference between a real person with plastic surgery and a robot, you won't know who you're with. So I'm thinking, okay, the men that are dressing up in the plastic doll suits, And this, remember, it's a full body thing. Now we got the people doing the plastic surgery, and we have the androids, you know, these robots. So we can't tell the difference now, again, between what's real and what's not real. So my opinion is that they're trying, again, to trick you, you know, to put you into this artificial world where you don't know what's real and what's not real.
But you're not going to tell me that other part.
I wasn't going to.
Well, and this Ken doll, he took the guy to...
Nurse Jamie.
Nurse Jamie.
Who's a real person. You can look her up online.
Yeah, in L.A., who invented a procedure for men where she can iron your scrotum and take the wrinkles out.
Yeah, $575 per treatment. It lasts approximately 1 month, and you can go back and do it many times.
Apparently, George Clooney is a
yes.
client that he has that done.
Yeah, he's all over
why?
the internet.
That explains a whole lot about why he doesn't hold on to girlfriends.
Yeah, but the point is, you know, is that people, again, they don't know what's real and what's not real, you know.
Who is going to iron their scrotum?
Who wants to have that done? Do you want that done? Maybe
why?
I can hang you up by a hook and iron your scrotum.
Okay, maybe you could like stretch it out a little bit, but ironing, no.
I don't know.
That's
well, somebody, it's
painful.
done with the. How would you know it's painful?
How
would you know it's painful? Have you secretly had iron?
These are the same people who do that they go on dates with people they have to inflate.
I don't know. You know, it's all so strange. It's all bizarre. You have to admit, life is so bizarre, and that's why you've got to get inside. We just had our OMG meeting, and I said you have to find your own pure frequency so you can recognize the pure frequency in everybody and everything else.
I could see some older women that might have their breasts ironed, maybe.
They can probably do that themselves.
Yeah, that I could see, but the scrotum, no, I don't get that part.
Well, you just pull it down and iron down there. I can do your scrotum, and of course I will never get old, so you'll have to find another old lady to do her breasts because it's not going to happen.
I think that I lost my testicles shoveling the driveway the other day because I think everything just froze off.
That did happen to a teen. Did you hear about that?
No.
Yes, it was a black teen who was very well respected, a basketball star, and he got stopped and frisked on the way to some basketball game or sports thing. The teacher had given them scarves because it was so cold, so the police officer stopped them, and I don't know if it's because he was black or not, but he frisked him, and he squeezed his testicle so hard it ruptured and burst. And now the young man is in a wheelchair and most likely will not have children. So that's...
Oh, for goodness sake. Well, you know what? That officer should have his scrotum ironed.
Well, maybe we can recommend that.
All right. That should be his punishment.
Yeah, give him over to Nurse Jamie.
Oh.
Okay. With that in mind, I want to tell everybody I'm really happy we got our first shipment of the new book, True World History.
Can you see my picture? My picture in the book?
Is that you? I thought this was you.
Oh, that was you.
Maybe this one's you. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But anyway, I'm excited that we finally have the print copy. Kindle's been out for, a lot of people are buying it and telling me that already, so I know you're enjoying that. We have a lot of color pictures in here this year. Of course, I'm not going to flip to any, but
I like
a lot of
color
illustrations anyway. So, anyway, the pre-order special will be up February 1st, where we are not asking shipping and handling after that. You will be responsible for shipping and handling. So if you want not to have shipping and handling, do that right away.
Or you could have paid to have me deliver it in person.
I don't know if they can handle that, my dear.
I'll let them iron my scrotum. Oh, all right.
I'll bring them here to iron your scrotum if you let them do it, because I want to watch.
No, because you would like to watch me in pain, wouldn't you?
I watch you in pain every day. Who went out and shoveled snow when I told them not to, and then came back with their fingers in pain?
Because were you going to do it instead? No.
It didn't need to be done.
It needed to be done.
No, it didn't need to be done. I said, call the guy with the snowblower.
He didn't show up when I was done.
Well, you could have called the guy with the snowblower. Anyway, March 14th, New York City. We will be there. Watch for information via email. We now have a place for you to sign up for our email list on our site. Get your name there. You can also sign up via our Facebook page. Get your name on there so you can see us in New York City. On March 14th, we will also both be available for personal consultations Saturday and maybe Sunday following, depending upon how our schedule plays itself out. You will be, then we have our seminar here in St. Joseph, Michigan. Again,
End of April.
Finding your frequency, so watch the website for details. We're a little slow on that, but we're getting there. And then we have in early May, right now, it looks like you will be doing a presentation in Japan.
Well, first to Iceland.
Are you going to go to Iceland?
I told you that.
You did?
Yes.
Iceland.
And then Singapore.
And then Singapore.
And then Japan.
How many weeks and months are you going to be gone?
I'll be back by Christmas.
Yeah. Well, who's going to take care of your fish and your other stuff in the basement?
And who's going to iron my scrotum? That's a better story.
As long as they take pictures, I don't care who.
Because it only lasts 4 weeks, so.
Well, so
Yeah.
if you go from place to place,
But anyway.
what if it snows in Singapore?
Well, that'd be interesting.
You go there, it might snow.
Probably, or an earthquake. And then,
Or a thunderquake.
Or a frostquake.
That's that what it is. And thunder snow.
Hmm. And then we also, in Japan, should I tell them?
That's up to you.
I'm supposed to visit Aomori, which is the shrine to Emmanuel.
And people who, if you have always wanted to go to Japan, you can attend his seminar in Japan. And with Stewart, if you're lucky, you might be able to go with him to this temple.
Well, it's not actually a temple. There is a monk who has many, many secrets he would like to share with me. And a lot of things that are proving that the descendants of Emmanuel did wind up in northern Japan. And the town nearby, Hebe, which is from Hebure, in Japanese means Hebrew. So why would that be up there?
So we have Hebrew connections with Michigan, and we have Hebrew connections now with Japan.
Boy, they're all over those people, aren't they?
Hebrews, very interesting.
I'll say.
All right, so get your copy of True Real History because there's lots of secrets in here we are unveiling, and there are even more when you come in person.
Yes, and so if the polar vortex does not encase us completely in ice, we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.